All right, we're going to take a look at the FRQ from 2005 Form B, problem number 2. Now this is a random variable problem. It's a discrete random variable. You can see it's a rectangle problem, and you know the formulas for those. As soon as you see this rectangle, you know that the formulas, those lovely sigma formulas, are there on the formula chart that you can use. So just to point your attention to where they are, the mean and the standard deviation are right there on the formula chart. So if you see that rectangle with probabilities underneath the outcomes, you know that that's where we're going to go. So to be able to give credit for this particular problem, the very first thing I'm going to need is some kind of symbol or a descriptor as to what we're trying to find here. So the first thing I'm looking for is symbolically mu or E of C, one or the other. My person uses the word mean, so I'm not going to give them credit for that. But they do have check mark. Remember, you're going to x times p plus x times t, sigma means add. So the setup is right there, multiplying each outcome C by its probability, and you can see that listed. Okay, and then the final answer is 1. Okay, now for the standard deviation, now this is from a previous AP where the formula on the formula chart is a little bit different. What I'm looking for right here is using the symbol sigma. My person did not. And then I need to see the setup underneath the radical of all the x minus mu squared times p of x. This is from the formula chart where you have, let me just show it to you again. Sigma means add them all up, okay? And you take x minus the mean we just calculated, okay, times p of x, all right? So that setup has to be there. And then the answer works out to be 1. Now I want to make sure that you realize that the answers that I got were not actually from doing these calculations and putting them into my calculator. To get the mean and standard deviation, you're going to put the outcomes into L1 and the probabilities in L2. You're going to 1 var stats L1 with L2 as the frequencies, and that's where you're going to get the mean and standard deviation that you can write down. Now, the units for both of these are going to be tickets, okay? Now, in this particular problem, I am not going to count that as a check mark because I already have 6 checks going on. So my person has 4 out of 6, all right? So you figure out what you got on this particular problem, all right? So for part B, they tell you that the number of adult tickets, and they give you the mean and standard deviation for that particular random variable. So we know that the mean is 2, right? And the standard deviation is 1.2, and that's for the adult tickets. All right, so for this particular problem, I see a lot of right stuff right here, but I'm going to make sure that I show you how I set it up. I know here we're trying to find the mean and standard deviation for the total. So it's going to be children plus adults. I know the mean for children is 1 and the standard deviation for children were 1. We got that up here from part A. The mean for adults is given to us to be 2, and the standard deviation is given to us as 1.2. So I know that the mean, when we're looking at independent random variables and we're putting them together and adding them, you just do whatever the operation is. The means are additive. If you're doing the difference, you subtract the means there. So what I need to see is symbol. They use the word mean. I'm not going to give them credit for that. All right, mean equals, and then I show work. 1 is the child's mean plus the 2, which is the adult mean, check. And then the answer is 3, check. Okay? Now, the standard deviations, now I'm going to go through down here and show you what I would have expected. We know that the variances are additive, but the standard deviations are not. You do it using the Pythagorean theorem of statistics. So I need sigma, which is missing, equals, and I'm going to see the square root of 1 squared plus 1.2 squared. Now, I see that work right here. So my person is going to get credit for that. They did it through variance and then they square rooted it in an additional step. Okay, so they did it in 2 steps instead of 1. But on your paper, this is what I would expect to see to get your step. And then the answer for this problem is equal to 1.562. And my person did get that correct answer there. Okay, and so the units here are also tickets. All right, this one, there are 6 checks also for this particular problem. My person got 4 out of the 6 just because I require the symbols On the real AP, they probably give credit for using the words mean and standard deviation, but I make sure that I have the proper symbols going on there. Okay, so there is B. Now for part C, this person did a whole heck of a lot of work right here, and I'm going to show it to you in a slightly different way. They got full credit for this when you look at it. What they're doing here at the very top is doing a transformation. Each child ticket costs $15 and each adult ticket costs $25, and we're supposed to get the total amount spent if you buy a child's ticket and an adult's ticket. So really, I'm going to go to the side right here. So what we're going to do is actually $15 times a child ticket plus $25 times an adult ticket. That's what we're trying to find, okay, because now we're working in terms of money. Now, a child's ticket, if I remember, the mean is equal to 1 and the standard deviation is 1. An adult ticket, the mean was equal to 2 and the standard deviation was equal to 1.2. So to do 15 times the child's ticket, we are multiplying C, the random variable, by 15, which is a math transformation of multiplying by 15. The mean is affected by multiplication, so 15 times 1 is equal to $15. The standard deviation is also affected by multiplication, so 15 times 1 is also $15. Now for adult, the mean originally was 2, but we're multiplying it by 25. Remember, multiplication affects everything, so the mean here is $50, and the standard deviation would be 25 times 1.2. Okay, and ooh, what is that answer? All right, let me get my calculator right here. All right, and we'll go ahead and do, all right, turn the calculator on, 25 times 1.2, and we end up getting the standard deviation is $30. Now we're working in money now, all right? So what I've done is I figured out what 15C's mean and standard deviation was and what $25 times the adult ticket random variable, and we got that to be 50 and 30. So now what we have to do is get the answer to this particular problem, okay? So we're trying to add them together. So we know we're going to have 15 plus 50, and that's going to give me 65. The standard deviation, when I put them together, I'm going to get the square root of 15 squared plus 30 squared, okay? And that's going to be equal to 33.541. Okay, so right now, if you got the mean for your answer to be 65, give yourself a check. If you got the standard deviation for your answer to be 33.541, okay, give yourself a check. Okay, hopefully you have supporting work. All right, hopefully your work is supported. But I'm not going to go through, there's too many details here to make it quick to grade. But I do need on this one, do you have the correct units? This is money, so both of them should be having dollar signs, and that will be the third check, would be the unit check. Okay, so in this one, it's worth 3 checks. My person got 3 out of 3. So for this particular problem, all right, we have 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 3 is equal to 15. So overall, out of 15 points, my person got 11 out of 15, and we are now finished grading this particular question.